Tell me, are you ready for Freddy? Wait, it's a sister location fanfiction. Would that really count? Are you ready for Baby? Are you ready for Laura? No. That's a conversation for another time. Hello, welcome to FanFiction Reviews. I am your host, Dark7777. Sorry about the change of location. The chair I was sitting on broke. Hurt a lot. And this episode, I'm going to be reviewing a story called, thanks to the FanFiction app, I can at least figure out how to make it easier for me. Memories left underground by the Uber. I swear to God, why do these authors always change their name? The Uber Mensch, Uber Menstrual, Uber Meyer, Uber Mensch. I think it's German. Uber Meyer writer. I don't know. I'll leave what the writer's name is in the description and figure out how. And you ask me how the hell am I supposed to pronounce that? It is a horror, hurt, comfort, Five Nights at Freddy's fanfiction with 35,000 words, and it's not a bad story. I really like it. But it's not a great story. So let's get started. First off, the plot. The plot is the prototypical Five Nights at Freddy's story. A kid connected somehow, some way, to the story finds a job ad in the paper, or like the little tabs, and gets the job and tries. Excuse me, and goes through the events of the game. It's an insert. It's an insert story, but the difference is, instead of being some random kid, it's a kid that knew, and they show flashbacks in the story of the kid actually going to Circus Baby's Pizza Parlor and having sort of a friendship with the animatronics, especially Baby and Ballora. And his parent, and instead of the whole, he gets afraid, his parents are afraid because, they find out something happened there, which was the whole Baby ice cream incident. I have no idea how to describe the whole, she opens up her, and tells him to go to Fredbear's Family Diner. If you read Silver Eyes, that's a bad idea. I've read Silver Eyes, I didn't really like it. Sorry, Scott. I didn't go out of first gear. And so he finds that the store was rebuilt and repurposed again and brought back up, and he gets a job. And then you go through the events of the game with him becoming, with sort of a twist with him, kind of befriending the animatronic, well, mostly just Ballora, the ballerina, but it's good. That's it. There's enough differences in the story to, I'm used to the camera being in front of me instead of being down, to differentiate from the actual plot of the game, especially the timeline, because the timeline of Five Nights at Freddy's is pretty cut and dry. I mean, you have 2, then 1. No, wait, 2, 4, 1, and then 3. But the problem with sister location is there's so many factors that each factor tell it's at a different point in the game. There's the secret room with the cameras that have the boys' bedroom from 4, so it's like, is it like 4? There's certain, the prologue of everything points that it takes place, that the game might take place between 1 and 3. There's certainly that takes place before 2. I mean, it's just a mishmash of information, and that pitting sister location on the timeline is kind of hard to do. But I have to guess it takes place between the events of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 3, due to the fact that this story incorporates the facts of the book Sister Eyes into the lore. Despite the fact that Silver Eyes, almost said Sister Eyes. That'd be creepy. Silver Eyes is technically alternate universe, or alternate timeline, however you want to spin it. Again, there's enough differentiate the plot from the story. He goes normal and then but all the animatronics actually recognize him since since they have voice recognition. They all speak to him, and they all know who he is. They all remember him as being the guy who kind of raised Bellora's confidence and encouraged her to do shows. Because if you've seen Bellora's design, she's kind of has a lot of uncanny valley, like the whole big mechanical boob thing and the whole really, really closed eyes, blind faceplate thing. It's really, really creepy. And the story establishes that when she was first made, she didn't really have a lot of confidence in herself. She felt that her design, that no one was gonna like her. And then Eric showed up saying, as a little kid, saying, "Are you Bellora? I want to see your show." And it kind of gave her the confidence to do the show and continue. I like that. It's a little detail, but it's a fun detail. And so, of course, if the whole another incident is the whole incident when you're supposed to click on baby and type in the code because Inard's watching you. In this story, he remembers. Bellora's on their kid. Bellora's in the Bellora gallery, and Inard attacks him because he realized, crap, he figured it out. Now wrong fandom. Why was I thinking of Dr. Eggman? Oh, I gotta stop watching Sonic videos. And chase him. It stays close enough to the original plot, but changes enough that it becomes its own thing. Again, the whole idea of him going to the whole idea behind him going is been done to death. I haven't read every single fanfic. I've read a couple, but they all start the same way, like down on his luck, or some connection to finance to Freddy's. And he says, I want to work there. It'd be fun. And this shit happens. So it's like the setup is nothing great, but once he gets there, it's like, it gets decent. I would have given it a 7 no, not a 7. An 8 out of 10. That'd be great. Grammar. Oh boy, there's a lot of grammar mistakes in this story. I actually have my favorite one all loaded up. Oh my god, this was just so. Where is it? Let's bring this here. Oops, wrong way. And this is actually the first paragraph from chapter 12. I don't know why, but I woke up rather groggily and cramped as opposed to what I usually felt opening my eyes. Regardless, my arch to my back as far as possible. Oh my god, that is just so ridiculous. I heard a bad grammar mistakes, but that was just so unintentionally hilarious that I just laughed for about a second, too. Because my arch to my back. And there's lots of grammar. I mean, it's not really a bunch of grammar mistakes. I can't really give it a 10 out of 10. I have to give it an 8 out of 10 over the whole thing. Calculator. So that's 8 plus 7. No, wait, 8 plus 8. Sorry. Plus, and there's not enough that I can really give it any lower than 8. But there's still grammar errors. There's still a lot of grammar errors, especially in like the first 2 or 3 chapters. After that, until like my arch, my back. Oh my god, I'm reminded of Owen. I kicked her leg out from underneath her leg. So ridiculous. Character development. I like the characters. Eric is kind of a average Joe. I wouldn't call him Garrison. Far from it. He seems like the whole an average Joe a vanilla protagonist, as vanilla as you can get for a protagonist. And I was like, okay, that's good for this type of story, but but I wish there was something a little more from him. Baby, I like the whole idea that she wants to get out because she wants to figure out why she was programmed, just like in the game of why she programmed with the whole incident with the little girl and the ice cream. which I thought was a nice touch. Ballora being sort of becoming his best friend, well, his second best friend. He has one best friend. That kind of is like, I want to be. That she might have feelings, she might not. It's kind of it's a small detail that I really like her characterization. Babies is decent, and Nard being like a manipulator, because if you do a little bit of lore search in the games, all of them except for Blore want to escape and want to figure out what I guess what their purpose in life, except for Blore, who hasn't quite broken. And I like how they changed it up and having Nard manipulate all of them into becoming part of him, so that way he can get out by himself and murder people. Because he seems to get off on, oh, I was forgetting, but I felt so empowered. Now I'm gonna kill you and skin you alive and take your skin and kill you, blah, 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 blah. And I mean, that's a great switch up, especially how the writer narrated the story to that, which I thought, again, is a nice touch. Freddy and Foxy. I wish the author done more with them. I mean, I have 3 of the animatronics and not all of them. I know Freddy gets like he made a sequel, but I think he's restarting. He did develop Freddy more. I'm not sure about Foxy and that story. I haven't read that. I haven't read the sequel. Now that he's deleted, I can't read the sequel. But I just honestly wish for Freddy and Foxy he did at least a little more with them to develop their characters. I mean, since they don't, how the story appears, it appears more Eric and Baby and Ballora. So I kind of understand them kind of being kept in the background, but I honestly wish it was done a little more with them. Just not a whole lot, not make them like major characters, but at least done something minor. Pacing and imagery. Here's the one problem I don't really like about the story, and it's first person. Don't get me wrong. And it's not so much that I hate first person, it's just how I read. I use a lot of imagery in my head, and it's hard for me to read first person as in the style I'm reading. It gets personally really hard. But I think in this case, if the first person point of view really helps the story. I don't like this. I don't like first person. That's not a slight on the author. That's not a slight on anyone who likes the story. That's just my personal preference. I'm not a big fan of first person because it's hard for me to read them. But this one is coherent enough and cognate enough to warrant saying, okay, it makes sense for it to be a first person. The pacing is fine. Probably the pacing might have been better if it was third person. I don't know. But the pacing with the first person point of view, especially how he switches the point of view between Ballora and Baby when the situation kind of warrants it, is actually really well done. And the imagery is actually pretty good. When it comes to first person stories, you don't really get a lot of imagery, which kind of help, which is one of the reasons why I don't really like reading them. But I like the fact he was simple enough, and I already saw like a Markiplier play system location, so for the most part I know what they look like. So I really need to know what Lore Gallery and Funtime Auditorium look like to figure it out. I just imagine a whole bunch of tables. For grammar, no, wait, I already did grammar. For characterization, I have to give it an 8. Mainly, an 8 mainly because of the fact I felt that I'm okay with Foxy and Freddy being as static as they are, and getting a little more, which is just wishful thinking. I just wish he could have done a little. He could have added the conversation the hidden conversation in Night 3 in the story, which kind of helped make Baby in the game more sympathetic. And I just wish he somehow incorporated that into the story. That's just me. And I think that was just a massive missed opportunity with building her character at least a little more. But Laura I liked, Eric I liked, Bernard I liked, Baby I wish, as being a major character, wish she came off a little flat. Not bad, but not great either. And pacing and imagery, I have to give it a 10. No, not a 10, a 9. Mainly because of the fact that he didn't do a good job in... He didn't really describe the animatronics. He came with the knowledge that you played the game and you described them. And I honestly wish, and the point is just him not describing the animatronics, except for Bernard, and I think Baby at the beginning. So finally, connection genre and emotional connection. This is one of those stories I'm gonna cut out emotional investment because I can't. This is one of those stories you can't really get invested in. So I'm just gonna cut that part all out of this review altogether. And just have it as connecting the genre. Horror, hurt, comfort. It doesn't really feel hurt, comfort. It does have those horror tinges, but I don't really think the combination doesn't really fit the story at all. If I had to choose the genres, it would be friendship. I know I would switch horror with friendship. No, right? No, make it horror friendship. Because all the genres with all the genres. Blah, no, back, I say, fuck. Yeah, genre, let's see, general romance. No, not horror. Maybe friendship, hurt, comfort, or friendship, or friendship horror. It's just the way the story is written. It's just horror and hurt, comfort. That just seems kind of an awkward fit. I'm more thinking switching hurt and comfort for friendship. You could see a stretch with the horror, and I can't really see anything more outside of the whole Nard thing. I mean, the whole Nard situation was actually pretty greatly writtenly good, and the fact that he made it not stable enough, concurrent enough to separate the canon and the fanon of his universe. And there's lots of added bonuses. There's like two alternative chapters where one is Nard both kill Eric, but one has Nard died and Eric not surviving. The other one has Eric, turning Eric into an animatronic, which I guess fits Five Nights at Freddy's. Kind of doesn't fit Sister Location, but fits Five Nights at Freddy's in general. So I have to give connection genre a 6. It's just hurt comfort just doesn't fit the story at all. So that's 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 9 plus 6 equals 10. So it gets a 3.9 or a plus. Final thoughts and a favorite part. My favorite part would actually have to be the Christmas bonus chapter because he made like a little bonus chapter of Eric going into the extra room where we have to where Enard challenges you in the main game, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna go after you, Simon Belor and friends. You use the and he gets spooked." And then they all play like a little prank on Eric and Belor, and they have like a little miss because it's written like, oh, he's panicking. He's like, I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to hurt the bitty balls who's sucking away my power and my oxygen. He's like, power goes up. He's like, I'm not gonna scream like a little girl. I'm not gonna scream like a little girl. Belor sneaks up behind us, boo. and then they all celebrate when Belor and Eric kiss, which I thought just feels shoot in, but like the whole. I mean, if the author makes the sequel good enough, I could see the whole them getting together. I think. And they kiss and like, oh, it's so Toro. Oh, it's so cute, and it's like a very cheesy, fluffy moment that you just can't go what. Would I recommend this? Yes and no. That's gonna be my first maybe, because it depends. Because I know a lot of people don't really like reading first-person stories, but I know a lot of people who do read them. So it just depends on are you a fan of first person or not? If you are, then go ahead, go read. You're not gonna. It's gonna be more of a time waster than anything. You're gonna spend an hour reading it. Pretty much less than an hour. I read it like, I guess, 40 minutes at fastest. But if you're not a fan of first-person stories, then I would skip it because, it's just not your cup of tea. Personally, do I like reading it? I like reading it. I think it's like a good, simple story, full of fluff and something, and kicking your leg out from underneath your leg, my arse, my back. I'm sorry, he needs to fix all those errors. Oh, including that one. I don't care. Just fix that one. Just stop me from laughing. So final thoughts. It's a good little story. It's not like up there like the greatest fan fictions or greatest not out there. But for what it is, it's a decent little enough story and something that might tickle your fancy. I mean, if you're into that, then I would say go ahead. I still gotta get used to looking at the camera, not looking straight ahead. I just realized I could have put the computer on my cooler. I'm a dunce. So with that, somewhat hilarious, and I am Dark777, and thank you for listening.